another edition of Fantasy Bout Hour, the channel dedicated to bringing you fantasy matchups on a regular basis. If there's a particular matchup that you want me to cover, please leave it in the comment section, and I promise to honor your request. If I've somehow overlooked your request, I do apologize, and feel free to send me another message. I'm making it a point to go through all of my requests. I'm making it a point to make videos more frequently, so I do thank you for your patience. I will get around to you. Don't forget to subscribe and to hit that bell notification. The fights that I'll be bringing to you in this video comes by way of request. I'll be covering two fights in this video. The first one is from Stephen McBroom. It's Lomachenko versus Hernandez. I always hope that I'm saying Hernandez's name correctly. The second one is from Tom Hodges, and it is Tommy Morrison versus Herbie Hyde. So let's start with Lomachenko versus Hernandez. Hernandez's most notable fights was against Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather, which he retired in both of those fights, and Azuma Nelson. So I think that he's a solid fighter. He has a great resume. He's a tough fighter. He's a pressure fighter, and he has good head movement and good countering skills. He has decent power, and so honestly, I wouldn't consider him an A-level fighter, but he was tough. He did give it his best every time he was in the ring. So, but the problem with Hernandez was that he was one-dimensional. So any fighter with decent boxing skills could beat Hernandez. And yeah, he wasn't the most durable because he retired in two of his high-profile fights. But that's not to take anything away from him. I mean, he gave it his best, and anyone who steps in the ring deserves respect. But I'm just looking at the realities when I'm comparing these fighters. As for Lomachenko, the Matrix, and we know that he's a southpaw. He's a very unorthodox fighter. He's made several fighters quit. You know, as far as his two losses, I mean, I grew up watching boxing in the 90s, to where there were a lot of great fighters with losses on their records. So back then we weren't as concerned with losses as we are today. So those two losses on his record is nothing. It takes nothing away from his talent. It takes nothing away from his abilities. He has great abilities, great footwork, and he just throws punches from every angle. He pressures his opponents, beats them into submission. And that's crazy. The only weakness I would say is that he tends to be gun shy against pure power punchers, which is understandable. But other than that, I mean, Lomachenko is a phenomenon. With those things in mind, with Hernandez retiring late against high-profile fighters, and with Lomachenko, you know, making fighters retire, this fight favors Lomachenko. I could see Hernandez giving a good effort in the beginning, but I just think that Lomachenko's skills, his movement, footwork, his punches from every possible angle, it would just be too much for Hernandez. So I see Hernandez retiring in this fight. So Lomachenko, you know, will stop Hernandez or make Hernandez quit. So as far as Tommy Morrison against Herbie Hyde, Herbie Hyde was a decent heavyweight. He shared the ring with Riddick Bowe, you know, other high-profile fighters. He had a great jab, great head movement, great foot movement, and he had a little slickness in his game. But down the stretch, he tended to fade. I don't know if he had the best stamina. We saw how he got knocked down several times against Bowe. So I don't know if he could take Morrison's pressure. You know, Morrison could sometimes be chinny, but other than that, I'm just not seeing any way to give this one to Herbie Hyde. As I always say, he may give a good effort in the beginning of the fight, but I just see Tommy Morrison's power, especially that left hook, his power and his pressure just being too much for Herbie Hyde. I could see Herbie Hyde frustrating it in the beginning with his footwork. And one thing I liked about Herbie Hyde is he knew how to place his punches. He had good punch placement. But down the stretch, I'm just not seeing it for Herbie Hyde. So in the first fight, I see Lomachenko making Hernandez retire midway through. And in the second fight, I see Tommy Morrison stopping Herbie Hyde late in the fight. So those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think. And I will see you on the next video.